Hey guys, welcome back to the Full Coat. Just going to do a very quick reaction video to the SuperCup final. Unfortunately, not the result that we wanted. In the end, Paris Saint-Germain run out winners on penalties after a 2-2 draw in normal time. Unfortunate, really disappointing. Quite painful result because obviously going 2-0 up during the game, you get your hopes up, but you're playing against a fantastic Paris Saint-Germain team, so there's no disgrace in a 2-2 draw in a match like that. So, kind of overall feelings. I know the rawness is definitely affecting some people. I'm trying to ignore social media, but the WhatsApp groups are going crazy and a lot of people very upset, and that's absolutely fine. If we look at it in the round, there was a lot of really positive stuff in there, and we've seen the high side of where we are at the moment with Tottenham Hotspur. So defensively, really good, solid, organised, hard running. The team really did put in a huge effort for kind of 70-75 minutes. And then we dropped off and we couldn't maintain it across the 90. So we can definitely see the work that Thomas Frank and the coaches have been putting in on the organisational side, on the defensive side. A really interesting idea to start with Jed Spence, which effectively gave us a back five in defence, and then he was being tasked with being kind of a wing back, getting forward and providing another man in the attack high on the left-hand side. Porro slightly more withdrawn, but still linking up the play, getting involved. And so we had a four at the back most of the time, dropping into a five. And then we were able to move into a kind of a 4-3-3, I guess you could call it, or 4-2-1, with a couple of wide forwards as well. So yeah, good to see something different. There was a game plan. It was well executed for the most part, and there was a lot of players out there who deserve a huge amount of credit. They worked tirelessly and they did it with quality, particularly on the defensive side of the ball. Richarlison had an excellent game. He worked really hard for the team. He provided a bit of quality as well. His hold up was really good. And yeah, he created a few chances, got on the end of things. So really good from him. Pap Sarr, excellent, continues his fantastic form from pre-season. All action, full, number 8 performance from him. Up and down the pitch, winning the ball, nicking it, making a nuisance of himself, getting up and supporting when we're going forward, getting back and making a difference. Kudus again, really good, really strong, dynamic. Apart from one very dodgy moment, a pass straight out of play under no pressure, but he did well. He's shown the things that he's really good at. Just need to work a little bit on that end product. So there was a moment where he got down the right hand side, beat his man, all ends up, and then a pretty poor ball over the top and over the top of everybody. So yeah, just that little sort that, and we've got someone really exciting going forward this season. But loving the hold up play, loving the commitment, the effort that was put in, and you could probably say that across the team. The defensive line were excellent. Vicario had very little to do for the most part. I can only really remember one dangerous shot and one save that he had to make. Bentancur, excellent in midfield alongside Sarr. Palhinha did well. He did okay. He had a couple of really good interventions, breaking up play, stopping bits and pieces. He's definitely nowhere near fit, nowhere near match sharp, because of the lack of minutes he's had for a very extended period of time, but he did really well. So happy with his cameo. There was a bit of a drop off when we made the changes. Archie Gray came on and couldn't really impose himself. He got himself into the areas he needed to be, but he wasn't winning much of the ball. He certainly didn't get on the ball and wasn't able to progress anything, because we were being pinned back by PSG by the time he was coming on. And yeah, other than that, it was a good performance. It was solid, and the defensive elements were there that we've seen, and the set pieces were there. So we saw the long throws coming in. So Kevin Danso is going to be our long throw merchant. They're a danger. They're a great pressure reliever. And we also saw 2 goals from set pieces. So again, those are the things that have been worked on. You can see it, and Thomas Frank has talked about it, and they were successful. So that's really good. But on the flip side of it, there were things that we can improve on, and there was a couple of bits that you really don't want to see. I know this is the kind of thing, talking about penalty shootouts when you're a club that doesn't get to finals every year and is not winning multiple trophies every year, but still there are things that we can definitely point out that were of concern. The drop off when we made the substitutions, it's just a shame Dom Solanke he's not fit. He's not had a proper pre-season. He came on and he couldn't replicate what Richarlison had been doing, but again we were much more pinned back by the time he came on, so actually there wasn't as much opportunity for the ball to go up the pitch and for him to try and secure possession, which we were doing really well earlier on. Matisse Tel is coming in for a lot of criticism. I'm pretty sure if he slides his penalty after having sent the keeper for a pint, if he slides it inside the post, he's a hero. No one's talking about him. So yeah, he came on. He wasn't particularly effective. He didn't do a great deal. He conceded a silly free kick, but he by no means was the reason that we didn't win that game on penalties. So it's a bit unfair, some of the criticism that's coming his way that I've been seeing. But yeah, he can do better, obviously. Put that penalty away for a start. Luckily, Vitinha did exactly the same thing, so it kind of takes a little bit of the edge off that one. And yeah, the 2 goals that were conceded, so we've seen this and we saw this against Bayern. There are moments that we are dropping too deep in our low block. So again, there's a little bit of work to be done there. So the second goal was a really nicely constructed goal. There was definitely things we could have done to prevent it, but PSG started getting their rotations going. They started moving players about in and around the fullback areas, and eventually some quick play, Hakimi into the Dembele, lovely cross and a goal from Ramos. So bits and pieces that could have been done better, but it was also a very well constructed goal by some fantastic players. The first goal is definitely, there had been a couple of occasions where the ball was dropping to the edge of the box, and again we'd retreated everyone's only into the box, and we've seen this before in pre-season. We need to get that balance right. We need to get the balance between numbers in the box and covering all the areas, but also being far out enough or being dynamic enough, getting back out when the ball falls to the edge of the box to stop people from taking shots, good quality, high percentage shots from the edge of the box. But it was a great hit from Kang that was, hits the inside of the post and goes in. It's a really nice strike. But again, we're falling a bit deep, and because we've seen it a few times, we can identify it as something to improve. And then we move straight into the penalty shootout. I'm a bit disappointed that Vicario went the wrong way for every penalty bar the last one, and the last one went over the top of him. I would have hoped maybe, and some of this is reactive because players are now, they're taking their lead from what the goalkeeper is doing as opposed to having a side, and so there's a certain element to that. But yeah, Vicario going the wrong way. Did we do our identification on this? Were we prepared? I have no idea. There was no names on a bottle. There was no, the camera that I was watching didn't seem to zoom in on a bit of paper that they were going through and, trying to prepare Vicario in that way. And then penalty takers. I don't like seeing your centre half step up to take penalty number 3 with the players that were available and the players that are on the pitch. If my attacking midfielders are not willing to take a penalty, and if they're not stepping ahead, and I really don't care how young they are as well, if my attacking midfielders in the pecking order are not stepping up to take penalties ahead of centre halves, that for me is a problem. I don't like seeing Mickey van de Ven step up. He's a more senior player, so he might have stuck his hand up and been selected to go ahead of a younger player, but I still don't like to see it. I want to see the confidence of a Berrival putting his hand up. That's penalty number 3. That's me. And then we were doing okay up until that moment. Some decent penalties from those who scored, and then obviously the Mickey miss kind of swings the pendulum a little bit, and then it's compounded by Matisse Tell putting it past the post, and it was disappointing because he did everything he needed to do. Sending the goalkeeper the wrong way, he's just not executed after that, but he will learn from that. So those are the bits and pieces. Overall, far more positives. I think most people might have been thinking about this game, hopefully we can get a result, but going in with an expectation that PSG were perfectly capable of doing to us what Bayern did to us, and that absolutely wasn't the case. With arguably their strongest side out there, we kept them very, very quiet. We did a really, really good job on them, and we scored 2 good goals. All things that have been worked on, so we take the positives from that. The bits to work on is that dropping a little bit too deep and conceding too much space on the edge of the box when we're in our low block or our phase 1 defending, as Thomas Frank has referred to it. And then penalties is one of those things you would expect during the course of the season. It will be Dom Solanke who executed his brilliantly. Richarlison, if he's on the pitch, he'll be taking penalties, but Tell is a penalty taker. It's fingers crossed we get to other cup finals. I don't want to see Mickey van der Ven stepping up to take a penalty in the middle of that. I want our attacking players stepping forward, the technicians stepping forward. Obviously Pedro Porro stepped up, and that makes a lot of sense because he does a lot of set piece delivery, and he is himself a fantastic attacking player. But I want to see players stepping ahead, taking control of that moment, scoring the goal. Overall, let's take the positives out of this. Let's accept the pain, take on the pain. Yes, we lost a penalty shootout for a cup, but we were there. We were in a European SuperCup final. We gave a really good account of ourselves, and the goals came from set pieces. We didn't create a huge amount else, which again we've seen throughout the course of pre-season, and therefore again it just leads us into the transfer strategy we could really do with 1 or 2 forward-minded players to improve us in that element. If we get those, we could go on to have a very good season. We've played a very good PSG side there. We've shown that we could hold our own against a Champions League level team. Yes, they were undercooked, absolutely, but we gave them a really, really good game, and we will improve. They will definitely improve, but they're one of the best teams around. We will improve as well. Our players will get fit. Palhinha's going to get better. Players are going to get more minutes. Dom's going to play more minutes, and so we're going to get better as well. Add a couple of good signings to this, we could go ahead and have a very good season. So I'm looking at it with a positive mindset. I'm definitely feeling the pain and the disappointment, and bits that we can work on. That defensive dropping too deep, and a few other bits and pieces. But huge credit to all the players that gave it massive effort out there, and you could see the disappointment on their faces. They deserve to be proud of what they did tonight, and it's a shame we couldn't come home with a trophy. But let's go into the season with a bit of confidence that we can play well. We're going to be hard to beat, and add a couple of players, and we could be a very decent side. I'll leave it there. Come on, Thomas.